hope that you like what we have to bring to you. It's a strictly passion, and it's straight from my heart. Uh, so basically, what we're going to and what we're going to talk about today is the misconception of what man is. And I mean, I guess I'll start to kick it off. It's just as our signs of being a lost boy, which is just not having knowledge of self, uh, not wanting to give back, not sharing, and basically just losing our way from everything, from allowing our neighborhoods to go down, the respect that we did have for our elders and all the people in our neighborhood. And I guess to just go ahead and start it off, and he'll bring us back in. Ron, go ahead and.
Well, this is perfect timing. And that's just how the spirit works. Because what I'm going to share tonight, I was going back and forth and I said, do I want to talk about it? And, I got to dedicate this show to Alicia. And I hope she's listening, because I'm proof that when you're out there and you experience that, what we're talking about tonight, which is that period of bewilderment. And so follow me here. I'm going to take you back. A couple decades here, almost 2 decades here, where I've got somebody in my house who feels like a foreigner. Now, mind you, I've seen drugs around. I've seen, people create a hostile environment. So you got that potential for post-traumatic stress. But living with somebody that smokes every day and is gone, and you never seen what that base can do to a person. And so every day you just kind of captured and apprehended by this person's appetite. So everything's on lockdown. You got people around who's on that end, whether it's for that dollar or it's to go chase that high. And so it put me in a place where home wasn't comfortable. You know what I'm saying? Home wasn't comfortable. So I'm out now. I'm out as much as I can possibly be. And I'm kind of feeling betrayed, because we had values. We had a way that I thought life was supposed to be. But now we're in this situation. And so I got an excuse. I'm going to be honest with you. I'm going to take you through my thinking. I got an excuse. So I got to taste a little bit of everything. And so I'm just going to give you, we're going to keep it real, right?
Yeah.
We're going to keep it real. So we're going to make it child appropriate tonight. I must say thank you for tuning in tonight. You're tuning in with Old School Radio. We are hosted graciously by KUAW. If the spirit moves you, please call in at 816-599-6893. We are also on the Old School, official Old School, that's Old Skooled Facebook page. And so to get into it, I still have some of that residual hanging around, and it don't just go away. So we want to paint a real picture from where we came from and what Old School is all about. We might have some first time listeners tonight. And for our loyal listeners, we want to say thank you. Call in, let us know you've been loyal. We want to send you a shirt tonight. Whether you come through by message or you call in, I'd say first caller of the night, we give them a free shirt tonight. And we're going to send you a shirt, and we're going to thank you for your loyalty. And we just want to continue to partner with you as we bring awareness to this old school movement. So in a fast way, so I can get this spun around and turn to everybody else. Old School is bridging the gap. We had a pivotal time as a community, as a people, where we were starting to gain some traction. And then drugs flooded our community. It was already, struggling with how do we get over this industrial age that is kind of dying out? How do we deal with, there's always been robbery going on in the community. You might get your bike stolen if you leave it out. But now we've got a chemical inducement and the streets are dangerous. And not only that, we had values. Those grandmas that we uplift at Old School, we start with the grandma. We start with the grandma because she came from an era that is unique to the world. You have a people that are admired by the world by this time. Jesse Jackson, but Jesse Owens goes to the Olympics in the 40s and he stuns the world. The world had recognized what kind of people were here experiencing oppression. And this just puts the stamp on it. These are unique people. We go forward, and these people, mind you, we had a depression in America. The people that we come from, they had already been experiencing a depression. And these people knew how to maintain family, put food on the table, and just continuing the creativity. Jazz is already proliferating in the world. So to really elevate it, we start with the grandmas because the world started to catch up to our families. We started the grandpas. If you got to hear our interlude, it was Papa was a Rolling Stone. And so the grandpas went out and experienced the world a little bit. Blues was calling, jazz was calling. Come hang out at the Speakeasy. He's drinking a little bit. He may walk home with something knowing that Bertha's at home, knowing the Beulah's at home. They at home. So he got out there and got a little taste of it. But grandma was still selflessly holding down the fort. She was still taking care of her kids. She was still taking care of the transient neighborhood. They might have had somebody homeless, may have had somebody mentally ill, may have had somebody physically ill. Grandmas were plugging in wholesale. And then the family, the children, got to a place that when they went out and started tasting the world. This is what Old School is about. We're giving you a synopsis of how the family started to diminish in the community. And so we're here. I'm going to speed up from where grandma holding down the fort. The family starts to dissipate, starts to slowly diminish. And we get to a point to where the daughters and the sons of the grandmas are raising their family in the new age, new way. And what does that entail? That entails, I'm going to give you some characteristics. Jerry curls, right? Yeah. What else does that entail? That entails, maybe going out a little bit and leaving your kids with people that it wasn't like that in the family. See, I remember the time my family still had a lot of old school. That's why I'm able to speak on this really confidently. It was your sister may have watched the kids.
Auntie.
Your auntie may have watched the kids, but now girlfriends, oldest daughters watching the kids.
Or now they'll figure out and say, hey, I got a friend of mine whose daughter watches kids, and it's just cool for you to leave your kids with anybody.
And we
going out.
So this is the era I'm raised in. And so here I am, a lost boy in the street, and I'm going to get ready to hand it over, but I got to keep it spinning on this. I get out there, and what do I experience? I've got strong women in my household, strong, admirable women, but somehow I adopt the psychology to objectify women. I get to a point to where I'm speaking with the homies, and women ain't nothing but the rest.
Yeah.
And feeling like it and believing it after some point in time, but still being able to go home and look at my mother and have what I thought was a respect for her as a woman, and be able to differentiate and put her apart from everybody else who is potential in game.
Yeah.
So I still got this I still have this in my vein. I've created something that I look at myself and I repent for. And what has come from this? The objectification of women. I have a coarseness, I have a hardness about me when it comes to what I think I'm entitled to, not to the point to where I take anything, but to a point to where I'm really cold about the game. And it's not good. And so I have a wife who inherited a lost boy, a recovering lost boy. Because this gets in your heart, this gets in your veins. In the streets, it's fun. I'm not going to lie to you. It's appealing. It's like a movie. As I got a little older, and I'm going to hand it over, I got into the classroom and eventually tried to get myself together. And I remember watching some of these young guys coming up, And I got in the classroom and I remember, man, these kids are coming to school like this is a rap video. Every day was I like this. And if you remember a couple shows ago, I talked about how I just squandered years of education.
Wasted.
Brought home straight S for a couple years in middle school. So family out there listening, you got third grade and you got middle school to where you really got to do things before that to really make sure that those years, because the school system is not totally crap. They're going to give your kid, they're going to give them a preview of what they need to be successful and to comprehend and to go into these industries like technology that involve high mathematics. Third grade and in the middle school years of 7th and 8th grade, they're going to give your kid what they need. But the problem is, like I suffered, I had those early years where education wasn't a priority in my family. Just go to school and don't act a fool. That's third grade.
And let me just touch on that just for a minute.
Yeah.
And it's just like I tell my sons now, you know, and I push my sons. I push them every single day. I try to give them every example I possibly can, because when I was talking last week about the dark side of this game is us that have been through certain things in our life. I mean, we can't be such demonic and devilish people and evil people and hating people. We got to pass what we've learned down to the young ones. Like I tell my sons could be the first ones in my family to walk across the stage and graduate and have a diploma. And when you sit back and think about it, seemed like it was a big thing, you know, and even as we was really experienced being lost boys, let's look at the Cosby Show for a minute. We like the Cosby Show in a different world, but that almost seemed like something that was so far out of touch for us to even begin to imagine. You see what I'm saying? Because first of all, it's really sad when you think about how many people we came up with. And when we say let's keep it real, it's being able to go to my son's football games. And when I look around the stands from the time he was third grade to even in high school now, you see the same fathers at practice, the same fathers doing this. You look around the stage and you see the sisters coming in with their sons, no dad there. And as a child, what really made me become a lost boy is because I didn't have nobody to say, hey, I'm proud of you and good job. And this is my son. And hey, y'all come watch him play and everything that I do to campaign for my son. So my approval came from running these streets, being able to be quick to fight, or thinking that my manhood was determined by how many people I was with, weapons, everything that was just so readily around us to obtain. And then it was just another thing. Like you said, I think that I really wasn't so bad to the women in that way, but because of what I had to go through with me and my mother, I always told myself, oh, hold on one second, we got a call. All right, hello, you on the line?
I'm here.
Go ahead and speak. May I ask who your name is?
This is Kanika Coco, your little
Okay.
sister.
Hey, what's going on with a little sis? How you doing?
Well, I'm good. What's going on?
I ain't nothing. You know, what my passion, what our passion is for is trying to give back from what we came from, to let our elders know everything they did for us. Wasn't for nothing.
Yeah. Yeah, and that's why I was calling, because you um, have always been a great leader of, um, what a lost boy was to, the man that you are now. You're a great example because of how we was brought up, um, missing out on, that father figure and not having that example, at that time, which is what we actually needed. And for you to even go in the streets and, go through everything you have been through, and then to see where you are now is just a light, and it lets people know that if you are a lost boy, there is a light at the end of the tunnel. You don't have to fall by the way. Hey, job done, pat you on the back, because you can still come out of that being a good man. So, I just wanted to call in and just say that I was proud of you, and me personally knowing where being and where you are now is just totally amazing, and it's just an example of you can do anything you set your mind to, and because you're a lost boy doesn't mean you have to continue being that lost boy.
Hey, and I love you,
So
little sister, and you can't call me and saying stuff like that. You'll make me tear up on Facebook, man. Hold on.
I have to just give credit what credit is due, and for all those that's listening, you are a great example, because you didn't let society get a hold to you. Even though you fell into society, you didn't let society keep you there. So congratulations to all of you guys. I listened to you last week and wasn't able to call in, but I just wanted to let you guys know that to keep up the good work, and hopefully, if you don't catch a lot of guys, and kind of steer them around the right way, hopefully, even if you catch one, that's a job well done. So
Yeah.
I'll let you guys go.
Hold
Love you,
on.
Big
Somebody's
Bro.
gonna say something to you, sis. Hold on. I love you.
Okay, love you too.
This is Duran. Thank you for calling and supporting, and you are the recipient of our shirt. We're going to send you a shirt of support and just thankfulness. But I do have a question while we have you here. What, in your opinion, what is a healthy way of thinking and interacting and dealing with a maturing lost boy, no matter what his age is, where he's in a situation where he may have never had anyone really sit down with him, where he had to figure things out on his own. And maybe the way he figured things out, and it may be working for him, may just rub everyone else around him the wrong way, because they don't understand the way he thinks, what the decisions that he makes. The reason he does the things he does is because he was in a bewildered situation where he had to make sense of things on his own in a lot of ways, or he had somebody that was already on dysfunction or sideways that was telling him that this is the way to do it. And he's recovering, and he's trying to figure out what is right, what is true, what is a good way of being patient or not being patient or interacting with them, in your opinion?
To me, you have to surround yourself with lots of positivity. When you are in that situation and you're trying to pull yourself out of that situation, it doesn't help, that you still have that negative crowd or that negative person. You have to surround yourself with lots of positivity. Like my brother said, even through every obstacle he had to cross and had to jump, he knew the type of person he did not want to be. So when he had his children, that was enough, motivation for him to keep going and say, hey, that's where I used to be, but I'm not there anymore, But at the same time, my brother had a lot of positive friends around him, that had goals and that had aspirations and dreams, and and that was part of the reason why he stayed so focused and so humble. But he also had his family behind him too. And sometimes when you're lost, a lot of guys don't have that family there to support them, So if you're in a situation where you don't have family to support you, then it's best that you get other people around you that's very positive to keep you motivated and to keep you going in the right direction, because it's easy to be a lost boy and then try to do something and then end up being a lost boy again. You know what I'm saying? So, to me, I'm all about positivity, because it's easy for a person to be very negative, and in the matter of a second, you're on their level, you thinking like them, because being negative, that's like the flu. It's easy to catch, So, like I said, it's easy to get caught up in the system. It's easy to be caught up in society because, they've downplayed our black men so much that it's easy to start thinking, well, yeah, maybe that's who I am. Maybe that's where I'm supposed to be. But if you surround yourself with positive people and they're like, no, there's more out there, and
people on our team like you, we're gonna make it. We're gonna be all right. Thank you.
Yeah, well, you guys just keep up the good, and I'll continue listening. And y'all have a good day, and God bless. Love you, bro.
Love you too, sis. But just to finish, what she says and what I always say all the time is how many, like the old people told us growing up, you lucky if you die today if you have one friend. A lot of us think we got a lot of friends, but you got co-signers. A friend's gonna be the type of person that tells you what you don't want to hear when you need to hear it. And then maybe when you think back, just for instance, back when we would have relationship problems, we had friends that would basically be like, man, you need to go on and call her, boy. You love her and she cares for you. You know what I'm saying? And you hear that coming from somebody that you look up to, you do it. But then when you got the co-signer and he's miserable because he ain't got what you have, it's quick to just be like, hey, man, that's why I moved out and told mine, elf her, and I've been gone ever since, just doing what I want to do. And like she just said, it's so easy to fall off into what has their hands on you. And I bring Cuz in because Cuz knows firsthand, truly the rules and the stuff that the most powerful woman we ever seen was our granny.
Yes, she was. For me, it just felt good growing up in an era where.
Oh, right. Well, hold on, and they will be with you in just a second.
Everyone is concerned about your welfare and where you're headed in life. And I'm continuing to stress that.
And that's important.
As a community, keyword being community, everyone loves you. They didn't just love their own kids, they love other people's kids.
Right.
You know what I'm saying?
Yes, sir.
So imagine being at the park, you 8 or 9 blocks away, and you doing something you have no business doing. And the lady sitting on the porch walks across the street, pulls you aside, and says to you, what are you guys doing? You shouldn't be doing that. I don't care how thorough, how bad, how tough, how strong you said you were. It was still a yes, ma'am, no, sir. It was still respect given to that woman right in that area. And she would ask you, what is your parents' name? Give me the phone number. I'm going to call them and tell them you're over here doing this and that. You have no business doing that. Community love,
Right.
It meant a lot. And that is what we're trying to stem off of. We're trying to let these lost boys know and girls know that, hey, if no one loves you, old school loves you.
That's
we
right.
love you. You know what I'm saying? And we just want to get you in tune with to visualize how that could be. If you just, like the young lady said, just think positive. Life to me is not hills and mountains. It's streams and straight roads and smooth. Is what you make of. And on my journey to where I'm at, I had a lot of negativity. I wasn't considered a lost boy, but I still came across a lot of negativity. And I had to come to a conclusion in my life that you have to separate yourself, the way the young lady said, from that in order to grasp where it is you want to be or where you were trying to go in life, and it works.
Absolutely.
I'm living it to this day.
Not to interrupt, we got one more caller. Hey, hello, we got another caller on the line.
Hello.
Hey, what's going on?
Not much. I'm really proud of you guys. I'm glad to be able to take a crack at that question that was asked earlier about how would we speak to a lost boy or engage him in conversation.
Yes. Please share. You want me to rephrase it, or do you recall?
Yes, please.
Yes. So the question was, in modern time, in real time, when you have a lost boy.
It's kind of hard to hear you.
Sure, I'm sorry. When you have a lost boy in your life and you see them maturing and they're starting to bud as a man, but
Right.
you're having to tolerate these stunted growth areas where
Right.
it might be their conversation, it might be their perspective on life, it might be how they handle things. And how do you support as someone who loves them but sees
Okay.
this floundering, sees that there's going to be people in this world? Let's just look at it like this, you know, where when you dealt with people, if someone disrespected you, you got to take care of it. But you start to
Right.
see, you got to have some discernment that you can't do that with everybody, you know. And I just use
Exactly.
that as an example that, hey, this may be a situation why we have police situations, why we have pedestrian situations, or civilian situations where people feel that they can take the law up on their own hands because someone doesn't know how to carry themselves potentially in a social situation, where we can save ourselves if we have maybe more mature ways of dealing with things. And so that's the
Okay.
distinction: a lost boy and a man. We're making that distinction today. We want to continue to highlight that distinction, that there's a difference between a lost boy and a man. A lost boy has been in a situation to where he had to figure things out on himself, and he's a survivor of anything. A lost
Right.
girl, she's a survivor of anything. But some of the things that come along with that is post-traumatic stress. They've seen things that they shouldn't have seen, and with that,
Right.
they become coarse, they become hard, they become maybe even predatory, because this is produced something. It's created a survival mechanism for them. So when you got somebody now who's coming into a situation where there's more stability, they have people who love them around them. Like the caller before said, that they have positive people around them, but these positive people still see these traits, these unsavory traits, these unsatisfactory traits that make it hard to be around them in some situations, in some cases, because this lost boy vein starts to come out. And so I speak
Okay.
from what I know. I speak from what I know. How can the people around them still support them and still continue to encourage them and love them? And but it's going to do it in a healthy way.
I think for me, I think you kind of have to approach it with the spirit of curiosity. I think so many times we are either trying to fix or maybe fix in a way that's not what they need. But to me, a spirit and a conversation of curiosity is more, let me find out more about what you're going through. Let me hear more from your point of view, because I don't know it. You know, as a woman, I don't know that. I haven't had the same experience. And so I think openness on both sides. First of all, creating a safe place, like you said, people around him that love him, but just may not know what to do, how to say things.
But
If you open it up with the spirit of curiosity, tell me how that feels for you.
but
You know,
if
tell
I'm
me what you're thinking about that. Tell me how you arrived at that conclusion.
if I might
And I
inter-
think that might open up things.
if I might interject, with me, and I was speaking to my ladybug today, and we was talking, and the thing of it is what we said on a couple of episodes a while back. If you have someone in your family and he's run away, how is it that we still continue to function as a family and nobody has went after to see where he's at? Nobody. I mean, it's just everybody still going on with the everyday life, and of being a lost boy, and as he said, the post traumatic stress, and just everything that I had to realize. And even now, even though I'm at the age that I am now, and a lot of my brothers needed your love, it wasn't shown. I'm okay. I made it through. And when you say communication, the thing of it is because we become, this is why we say the old school way of everything was so much better, because here it is. My cousin's grandmother raised 9 children. All of them went to college. All of them graduated high school. I mean, some of them went to college, and we just had one that was kind of, a little bit far gone before she really could just implement her roots and stuff on him. But here's the thing. Out of every child that was in that house, our grandma knew a situation and how to talk to everybody. She knew if somebody might be pregnant, even if it was from the little girls in the neighborhood. But she knew that if she would send certain people to the store and make these people do this, then she would pull you aside and say, hey, what's going on with you? What you've been doing or whatever. And my thing of it is if you are a true family and there's love in your family, I just don't believe that there can be an excuse that you can tell a child, I didn't know what you all were going through. I didn't know that it was that bad. Because when you deal with me, you dealing with a realist. I'm like, all the times that you all had Christmas dinners and Thanksgiving dinners and gifts and stuff open, no one noticed that we weren't around. And it was just like, then what happens when you get the call that he or she is dead, or they're spending most of their life behind bars? I just really feel that if we are close knit and we're paying attention to our children, are we gonna really be able to help them? Because I'm gonna tell you the truth. And what really hurt me, and my cousin knew, is the first time that I was truly hungry in these streets, and I had an opportunity to run with a few of my friends, and woke up that morning, 20 cents in my pocket, to going to bed that night, and I had about $800 to $1,000 in my pocket. From that point on, there was not going to be anything anybody in my family could do to get me out of that situation, because at that point in time, the money had me. But as family members, we can't be so busy and use our jobs, and we can't spend so much time on Facebook every day and watching all these reality TV shows. And we are, every time the phone rings and it's a girlfriend or that dude that we want to be interested in us, everybody has the attention from us besides the ones who really need it. And sometimes a lost boy can even start. It's not even necessarily just being in the streets. It could be the man that you have in your house. The relationship that he has with your children may not be good, and your children act out to try to let you know this, but you don't peep it. And what you want to go off and to say is, it's always about y'all. I finally got somebody that makes me happy, and y'all don't want to act a certain way or whatever. And then if those kids feel like she's choosing him over us, and they get into it with that guy, and if he's about what he's about, then it's going to pretty much cause a situation to where your child could run up out of the house. Let's look at baby boy just for an example. And if your child runs up out of that house and he's in the streets, and you haven't seen your kid in 3 weeks, as a mother, how do you live like that? Because I know one thing: if my son ran out of the house, he might run out for 10 or 15 minutes and I'm gonna cool down. But you can best believe before I go to bed, I'm gonna find out where my child is. I couldn't wake up. A matter of fact, I couldn't even go to sleep at night if my child wasn't at home. And I just don't understand, how do we come to accept those terms? And the parents become just like we are. You haven't seen him in 2 or 3 months, but if they call and say, hey, we need you to come down to the police department and view his body, then everybody is sad. But it's just the same way as we are in the streets. Most of us lost boys came to the conclusion that I don't care if I die.
Right.
I don't care if I go to jail. What else do I have? So anyway.
I agree, and I think you answered a lot of your own questions. You used the term close knit, and that has changed a lot over the years. So if I'm in a close knit family, you're right. I'm going to have the discernment, and I'm going to know things. But if I'm not, because everybody doesn't have that same capacity, parenting. Just because you're a parent doesn't mean you have the capacity to parent.
Exactly.
So now, but that's a whole nother. I don't want to tie up your phone line.
No,
That's
it's
a
okay.
whole nother show probably.
Yeah. The whole reason that we're doing what we're doing, and I don't know how many listeners may be church going into the Bible, but I consider myself a prodigal child, which means I had to go through what I had to go through, but so much love was given me at an early age before I got adopted into the streets that luckily that was enough to help keep me on track till I could find who I was supposed to be and who I've turned into now. A lot of us, God bless their souls and rest in peace to a lot of people who have lost loved ones along the way. But I'm thankful that I was able to come back full circle. But what helped me get to where I'm at now and what we're trying to give everybody, we're in a day and time right now where the president is out of control. Families is separated and torn apart. Uh, Marriages. Somebody got married this weekend, and in 2 years they're going to be divorced because there's no substance to hold them together. Everything is the worst that I've ever seen it as a human being. But the only thing that we have to have that we can't let go is like my cousin said, we've got to visualize that there was a time where it was way better than what we have now. Way better. So thank you for calling. Call us anytime
Thank
that you
you.
want to come into any
Thank
show,
you for the time.
and we
I
appreciate
appreciate you guys.
anything.
Bye.
All right, listeners, we're going to take a little small recess here for our Facebook viewers. We're going to continue on. All right, the show tonight. Are we coming over on the on our Facebook? I wonder is our voice coming over? Let's get in routine. I know when I listen to it on Facebook, we're still going, we're still rolling on Facebook.
Oh, once we go to one.
Like, even though this is on, we're still on Facebook.
it's all good.
Yeah.
But no, I mean I think it's good though, man, that we got people paying attention and calling in and stuff for us. And like a lot of the people said, man, if we don't get everybody,
Yeah.
if it's just somebody that can use one of us at the story's table, and I think that's why we all three of us fit together.
Yeah.
Because he got it even way more than I do.
Yeah.
He got it firsthand.
Well, Jerry put it out there. Jerry said, if nobody else does, and that's just so tight because the DNA of old school, DNA is just it's the strands and the cloth that makes the whole blanket.
Yeah.
So if you got the whole blanket of old school, the whole DNA is based on we gonna love you and care for you if nobody else do. That's heavy.
That was tight.
And that's real. And that's real because I knew that when I was out there. I was like, you know what?
That's all it takes is just that initiation to show that you care. You know? Yeah. That, for some people, that's all it takes.
That's all it takes.
That's all I ever wanted. Is
Right.
somebody to care.
Yeah.
To give a, a
right.
You know?
And you think about your moments when you made those boneheaded lost boy mistakes or antics. Right. It was 2, 1. You gonna open this up?
Yeah. All right, old school family, we back. We just had a little quick commercial break, but I'll let the two gentlemen talk about what they were talking about before the break. And I think what my cousin said was very, very good. I want you all to know that if you're not getting the love that you think you should be getting from your family, from the relationship you're in, your sisters, your brothers, your cousins, whoever, I want you to know that we love you. And we have to. I have to be the same way that I saw my grandmother to everybody that walked through our door.
Yeah, we took a little recess, and one of the things that we talked about that I think is notable to put on the table and really illuminate. So here we are. What are we talking about? We're talking about we got to know how to make a distinction between lost boys and a man. And why men are needed in our communities so that we can anchor our families. The women are tired, and they should be. Grandma was tired. Let's go back and look at grandma. Grandma's taking care of a community because, and we're talking about that figurative grandma because it wasn't just our grandma, it was somebody's auntie, it was somebody else's grandma. And what we just illuminated here was that you could feel the warmth of that community. Unfortunately, I had friends and maybe even indulged in it myself when that elder was taking this step out and doing what they naturally do because that's the community they come from. You wanted to tell them something. You told them off. You don't know me. And that's when that sever started to happen.
Mm-hmm.
When that act of love, you know, what did the old folks you say? You don't hit a gift horse in the mouth. But see, let's even add on to that. You don't hit a gift horse in the mouth. You need to know what a blessing is. And why is that so important, knowing what a blessing is? Because here we are in this destitute time, and we don't even realize how destitute it is. I'm going to tell you, when you're being abused and somebody pulls out a phone to view this, and you don't know what spirit they pulling that phone out in, it could be in entertainment, so that they can, or it can be in economics, so that they can post this and get money. And it has nothing to do with love. But that old lady, we all have probably experienced that scenario. That was not just an example. I recall vividly in my mind an elderly lady or an older man stopping me and requesting that I think about what I'm doing before I continue doing it. And if they know me, giving me that eye that this is about to get back. And so that's a blessing. That's love. That's a community. But when there's fragment and there's no connection, and you arrive from your own brother, your own sister, your grandmother, your mother, and then come back and show your face to them again, that's an unfortunate community. That's an unfortunate circumstance. So we're going to give it back to Jerry because Jerry said, I just want to tell him how
and I just want to say with that, again, the dark side part of the game. You know, babies are being affected now by the lost boys. And how could you be cool? I mean, back in them days, if you my partner, I'm going to ride with you till the wheels fall off. But it even goes like the Scarface movie. Scarface did everything he wanted to do, but he said, I'm not hurting no kids. Which means if you was my partner at that time and we did what we had to do and a child got hurt, you got to take that, man. You know, I mean, how do you, I mean, we in a time that I thought when we was coming up through the warfare that it was bad. But this right now is out of control. You know, and we even had it to where, like y'all said at the first part of the show, a neighbor could whoop you, take you home, and tell your mother and them that, hey, I know you didn't raise him to be like that, and I whooped him just like I whooped my own kids, and that's just what there was.
And it worked.
It worked.
You know, it worked. It just was a whole nother level of life. You know, today I look at where we at today, and I really, really deeply appreciate where I come from. I have no shame in what my grandparents and what the neighbors and the teacher and the community in the past, what they were about back then.
But I mean, how did we get so savage to where a child is laying in the street with the white sheet over him? People got the cell phones. There's really not much empathy. And the first thing that a lot of people say is, I ain't snitching. You know, I mean, it was just like Katrina. I'll never forget when I was at work and I saw my people on these roofs crying. They was drowning. They were hungry. And I stood in the break room. And, you know, the older I've gotten, I have a little bit more compassion because I realize that every day is just not about being hard. And to see those people going through something that I mean, could you just imagine? And I cried when I saw it. It brought tears to my eyes, and I still think about it to this day. And I guess what I really want to say is, even though I was in the gangs and just thought I was so hard, my grandma could always that I couldn't walk out of the house and say, I don't give a F and be in them streets. It was something she had.
Earned it. Earned it. And that's it. You know, one of the things, you make a statement that is profound to me, and I'll use for the rest of my life, which is the experience that you have and that person that you come out to be, that's been granted life to be able to stay here from day to day,
His extension.
is that person, you earn that.
Right.
And so we got to think about what open oppression looks like. We got to think about what open hate looks like, where there's a boldness. There's such a boldness that I'm going to do everything in my disposal to bring you down. And to be able to come forth polished, and to be able to come forth and still, most importantly, exhibit love, demonstrate love, and not be overwhelmed by that spirit of hate that's around you.
And it took a long time. I think what really changed me for real was when they wrapped up my children and they handed my sons to me. Then I was forced to realize that, dang, I love something now greater than I love myself. So now every move I make is a calculated step. Let me take it from Pop. Every move I make is a calculated step, which means every day, if I had to run my hand through a hustle, if I had certain people come to the house, making sure where me and my family live, it was a good spot, a safe spot, because now it's not just about me. I didn't care what would happen to me. If I'm coming out of the hamburger place and the wrong rivals roll up and be what's up now, you know, I can take it if it's going to come. But now I got these young ones. So every move I make, I have to think about them. I just want to say, and I'll let y'all finish, I want to give a shout out, one, to my Aunt Bev. I love you. I love you. I love you for all the times when I was young. I would come back to the neighborhood and messages were given that you were looking for me. And New Urban Barbershop, to all my family up there. Mark from Compton, the mashed potato and corn, sandwich eating king, and just all the comedians in the barbershop. I really love them for what they're up there doing. And then also KUAW for giving us an opportunity to be able to speak and express to our neighborhood. And I always say, for so many years, I fought the bad fight. And doing these broadcasts and podcasts is just time for the next half of my life to give back to my people the best way I possibly can. And that's just to say what my grandma would say: if she met you, she loves you, and I love you.
And you know what, cousin? We out here trying everything else. Why not this? Why not? You tried everything else, you know?
Right.
New school, how's that working for you out there? How's that way of life working for you? You know? We're not just a bunch of old guys up here, you know, reminiscing on our soapbox, you know, all back in the day. This is real compassion for a community that is lost. A community that's we have to figure out how to get back. You know?
And if we could talk to our partners that were lost at the time that they lost their lives, what do you think our partners would say if they could just be in a spiritual form at a Thanksgiving dinner and hear your niece saying, Uncle Warren, I miss my dad? Would we really think that being so hard and so tough? Because, man, when I lost my brother, it's painful because I try to pretend that if I'm down there with my mama, he's going to come through the door. And to see my nieces and hear your nieces go, will my daddy be proud of me? And don't I look like my daddy? You know, I think next week we really going to get off into the dark side and the pain. And that's what I want to bring to the people in the community. For all the destruction and mayhem that we caused, this is it's a cold game. That's all I can say. It's a cold game.
So we're going to be wrapping up tonight. And we kicked it off with what is a man. In this Lost Boys series, we started with an introduction to ourselves. We wanted to let the viewers and the listeners know that, you know, we're not coming from a soapbox perspective. We're not angels, you know, and we're not creating a fantasy. This is as real as it gets for us. You know, we live in every day. We got receipts out there. You know, as you get to know us, you'll see we've been doing things for a few years now. And by the grace of God, we've had a renewed mind. And we're on that journey to trying to figure out things, you know, in the way that we were trained up to go. We were demonstrated love. We got some of the comments that I'm looking at. I'm really encouraged by where we have people being honest and transparent, saying, you know, sometimes we couldn't be attentive to what was going on around us because we were busy putting food on the table. You know, we were busy trying to take care of things that were overwhelming, whatever they may be, whether it's keeping safety in the household or whatever it may be, whether it's what we talked about as we had callers listening in. We had moms who understood that they had lost boys as their lovers. And just like always, as we get a couple years, we start to expand a couple years, we start to get a little more 2020 vision. And we realize that those people are strong. And one of the worst statements I hear is, well, recently one of the controversial statements is out there is that slavery is a choice. When we know better than that, we know straight off the boat, we had people who were either you going to kill me or you going to find a way to let me be free. Yeah. And it was this attrition. What I mean is people falling off and people who were tolerating it, who creativity was inspiration was coming to them in real time. And how we're going to survive this and get through this so that we can get here to this day at this point right now. And what are we going to do with that as the brother presented? What are we going to do with that? Something is moving through you. When you say and you're able to articulate an imagery like you just did, that's real. You said you have something speaking to you, telling you it needs to be presented this way. You bringing up the memory of your brother. You don't mind me saying, and you bring it up for the point of feeding and helping someone else. Well, from the God I serve, when you're feeding and you helping and you know someone else, that's a good thing. I mean, that is a good thing. When we serve the less fortunate, from the books that I read, that's a good thing, and that's really what it's about. It was this journey of being able to feed people that were less fortunate, whether it be intellectually, whether it be family, whether it be physically, whether it be spiritually. Grandma, we start with grandma because she had an eye to be able to literally feed people who had less than. And then the family who was able to stay strong through this hostile environment was able to maintain that, go out of their house and be like, you need something to eat. You need a bed to stay on. You need a couch. I got a couch. You can come in the morning and brush your teeth, wash your face, or whatever it may be.
Exactly, man. Yeah.
It was these practices. And then we got to a stage where we were lost. We were lost because we started adopting a code, a way of doing things that was foreign to us, that was foreign to our best interest. So in wrapping up here, I'm going to wrap up. And next week, we're going to get a little bit more on the dark side. And what we mean by that is we're going to talk about those holes when we're lost, when the light's gone, when what we were operating on is no longer existing. So I thank you for tuning in. The brothers here are going to wrap it up.
I just want to tell our family and listeners, thank you very much. Go to www.oldschooled.com, register and sign up on the website and support us because every time I do it for y'all.
And remember, we didn't come from a community that allowed society to swallow them up. They loved through that hate and struggle. And I believe it can still be done to this day. You know, community, we can love through this hate and this turmoil that we live in. Thank you.
Old school, new school.